Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, Pay with you, this man always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bottom Female Bottom Talk, live, on YouTube, folks. It's the first full week of 2026. Last week the new year started on Thursday, and this is the full week. And folks, I hope you enjoyed your holiday weekend. I know parents are happy, kids are back in school. Kids, you're not happy because you got to wait for another. I think you get Martin Luther King Day off. Really, it's just going to be kind of a dry spot until Easter. It's no really big holidays, but also for you working people, working class people. Hey, tax time around the corner. Used to be back in the day. Used to get my W-2s just a week or two before February. But then now some jobs you got to wait till like the end of January, and I just come on. And then you have to wait a little, like depending on where you get them done. My sister's CPA. She's the old-fashioned way: get the book and then shot it and boom, send the mail. Take about maybe a month or so. Some people don't want to wait that long, so they go to HR blog. Jefferson, Jackson Hewitt, whoever who does taxes, or go to a guy around the corner who knows how to do it. So folks, but folks, before I do start this thing about remembering a great man who really impacted the sport of bodybuilding, I also want to give a shout out to a young lady who just yesterday turned 31 years old, and that is Anastasia Korbelev. As you know, Anastasia is a two-time Olympian. Even though she has not been into Olympia yet, she's qualified for the first Olympia at the Romania Muscle Fest back in 2023. And then she, 2024. And then she just got another qualification last year, 2025. So maybe if circumstances happen, we might get to see her at her first Olympia. It's nice to have that two-time Olympia title, but it's not the same if you hadn't been there. So happy birthday to Anastasia, many, many more. So folks, I have here, often have one of my favorite guests here. We've known this for a good while. I got to meet the kid when I was in Tampa. We have here is Alex is here. And we welcome Alex. As he's always here to support my content, and I support his.
Hey, Victor, it's good to see you again, George. How you doing?
Yeah, good to see you, Alex. Nice to see you coming through. Well, this is a dedication to a man who really brought something to the world when it comes to, especially of art, and especially to the sport of bodybuilding. Not just women, but also the whole sport altogether. He was a photographer, a producer, videographer. He was very much into everyday still life stuff. I mean, he was an amazing guy. I remember it was a couple years ago. My man KL the Wanderer, he did an interview with him, and he sent me the link. I said, "Well, what's the link?" So, I'm just Bill about Dobbins. Oh my God, I remember Mr. Dobbins. I mean, I was so excited because I was like a little kid, just a man, especially when I was coming up, and he worked for magazines like Muscle and Fitness and Flex, and he, and we know one of his most famous, I would say, books. He had quite a few, but the most one that I think a lot of people remember is the book, The Women, where it was a total photographic artwork of several ladies in the bodybuilding world in the good part of the 90s. People from Laura Craval to Joanne Lee to Yolanda Hughes. Who else? Can't forget Linda Murray, and just the list is on and on of some most beautiful ladies. And I found this photo because you see it's in the background of the when I started, it's in the background of the this live, and this is a picture of him. This I think like about the 90s. He's here with some ladies here, and some of these ladies are Olympian competitors. You have here from my left to your right, that is Debbie Mugley. She had a great look, great physique about her. Also, they have been contacting, in a while. Doriet, at the time she was Doriet Kearns, but she goes by Doriet Silverman. We have is Erica, Anderson. As you remember, she's one of the American Gladiators. I think, what was it, Ice? Or I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. You have here Sherry Bernot, As you know, she competed in the good part of the 90s. She later on switched over to another division after time bodybuilding. And we have his Heather Tristan. Now, Heather, I don't think she ever turned pro. She's one of those underground legends. The list is on and on the ladies he worked with.
I have heard some of you heard some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe those ladies were before your times because Alex, he's not too. He's about the same age. I think he's about the same age as Anastasia Korbelev because I think you're 30. You're still a young man.
She
This
won. I'll be 32 this year. She's a year younger than me.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not too much difference. Just a I would say good year. Yeah. So folks, I'm gonna pull this. Was posted by Wayne G. I don't want to miss his name. He is also he works in the bodybuilding world. He's a producer. I think also he's a writer. And he posted this. This was to a dedication to his friend. And I want to share this. This is where I think which is amazing how people support and has men have impacted those people's lives. So here it is. If you can see it, I know sometimes it's a little different when you look at it, but this is from GMV IME. That's GMV. They used to allow to do a lot of videos and stuff back in the day. GMV bodybuilding. It's article posted Bill Dobbins 1943 to 2025. Excuse me. Says Bill Dobbins, bodybuilding photographer icon, 1943 to 1925. RIP, my friend. I heard that my friend Bill Dobbins died on Saturday, 27th December. Bill was a longtime bodybuilding photographer and writer for many articles and producer of numerous books. In the early 2000s, he had the privilege of staying for a few days with Bill and much loved cats. His house was also his studio. He had so many stories to share and great photography to show me. It was an unforgettable experience. From those meetings, we worked out a way to work together. For GMV to market Bill's bodybuilding videos of some of the top women that he had worked with. Among his many achievements, he was editor of Flex magazine and was the ghostwriter of the classic book Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. Shout out to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He also remembered for his iconic book of female bodybuilders titled The Women, Photographies of the Top Female Bodybuilders by Bill Dobbins, 1994. Now, there's also another book. His first book is called Amazing Women, if you trace back about it. He had an eye for the best angels and best locations for his photography. He had a rare gift for his photography, and he was the greatest bodybuilding photographer that I have known personally. He told me how he fought Hodgkin lymphoma, a cancer of lymphatic system, several times and beaten it each time. I understand this is the recent time he has been suffering with Parkinson's disease. His health was such that in more recent years he could no longer manage to attend the Olympia, a regular meeting place where he always swapped stories each year. I would miss him and his extraordinary photography. Rest in peace, my friend. Now he posted some here. For I'll show you this one of a lady who I was in contact with for a good while. I was hoping to have her as a guest on my channel. That is the late Melissa Coates. Melissa Coates competed in the good part of the 90s. She's originated from Canada. It's amazing physique, great to look to her. After her stint in bodybuilding, she became a wrestler. She was known by her name was Super Jenny. She used to be the valet to I forgot the guy's name. He passed away too just recently, last year. I remember I was really cool with Rhonda Charisma. She got me her email, and we were in contact. He was sending a package because it was a little bit after she amputated one of her legs because she was dealing with some issues. But Melissa had a great look to her. She was, very attractive, had a great, physique. I mean, her time as a bodybuilder was, as a pro, was, I think, short-lived. She competed in a few shows for a couple of years, and then she dropped out, did a lot of modeling, and then she found life as a professional wrestler. If you remember Melissa Coates from back in the day, there's a great look to her, very appealing, This is one of my classes. This is one of my favorites right here. This one here, when she was still competing as a bodybuilder. She's just beautiful. The skin and complexion. I think she was one of the sexiest women of the time. We just had somebody to pop in. Give me a second. Let me bring them in. This is my man here, and he was the one who did an interview with the late Mr. Dobbins, our man, KL the Wanderer.
Hey,
Hey,
how you
what's
doing
going
today?
on?
Happy New Year,
How
KL.
y'all doing? Happy New Year, Alex. How you doing?
I'm okay. How
Thank
are
you.
you doing?
All
Well,
right.
yeah, it was Kay's opportunity. He reached out to Mr. Dobbins, and he got an interview with us. So, share how you did it? How you get somebody like Bill Dobbins to take time to talk to you?
I mean, it just happened. I mean, I was following him on Facebook, and I just had an idea to just reach out because there's times, if I always go after the women bodybuilders, I'm not really I'm not like often like getting them too much. So, I was just, figuring at the time like maybe I could get somebody that worked with women bodybuilders, like in terms of photography or other things. Like, and I've got like a few people and Bill Dobbins, he was one of the few. So he responded and he set up a date and yeah, that the rest is history. I'm not gonna say I had the best interview because I was interviewing him on my phone and I had it in my hand and and look, the moments I was a bit stuck, especially introducing him, but he was a cool guy. He gave me some info on, like making my resume because, I was interested in, doing photography a bit and, and yeah, nothing too deep to tell, but, I didn't know him well enough to, I just knew him like he was a straightforward guy and he was very humble. I remember one time, like a couple of times, me and you, George, we was saying that he was a legend, and he was like, he was kind of brushing it off because I'm like, I'm not much of a legend. I can't go, if I go to Starbucks, they not going to let me be first in line if it's a long line and stuff. So that was a bit funny. He was keeping it real, I think he didn't want to be penalized, But in the '90s, I seen him in the Geraldo Rivera talk show, and he had the other bodybuilders, and he was speaking up for them, and yeah, that's how I knew of him. I seen his book like at a Barnes and Noble when I was checking it out, you know. So yeah, that in the '90s, I was, that's how I gained interest of the women. I paid attention to the women bodybuilders, and I see how he put them like in terms of like the pages or the photos in the book and stuff. But yeah, so that's all I got.
Well, that's good. That's good. Like I say, for us who are fans, especially of female bodybuilding, women with muscle, he to us he's a legend. I know he like I said again, he's not to get a first seat at a big time table, but you know what? He brought something to the sport that wasn't getting enough. That realizing that women with muscle can be beautiful. The design, the looks, the photography. People like Bev Francis. There's one for pictures where there's the one with Dorit Kearns on the little wooden lion. No. That's what Dorit Kearns. I think that was Sarah, but no, it's one with Dorit Kearns wearing the kind of like a shawl, like see through. You can see the detail of the muscle. He brought something to it. So what I'm gonna do is, like I said, I did pull up that interview that man Kay did with Bill. We show some of it, a bit of here and there. So you want to go to it. I will leave the link in the description. You want to check it out. So here it is with my man KL the Wanderer and the late Mr. Bill Dobbins.
And so I got plugged into the whole industry
sort of by accident.
Yeah, back in the days, I would I would, I would buy the Flex magazines and, like, look at the women and stuff like that. I wanted to work out also, like in the 90s. I started like paying attention to bodybuilding, like in the 90s. I didn't know a whole lot, but, and just seeing like the women, it kind of blew my mind and stuff. And then even the men, I wanted to look, matter of fact, I had like a Joe Weider products. He had the shakes and stuff like that. And I used to buy them. This was when I was about like 16. So,
Well, what happened was that women's bodybuilding came along just about that time, the late 70s.
yeah.
And Joe Weider was very sympathetic to it. Not everybody was, but he could see in it a way of promoting his magazines. He could see in Rachel McClish a way to promote a champion the way he promoted Arnold.
Right.
So when I was doing Flex magazine, he was perfectly happy to have me photograph and do articles on women like Rachel. So so as the and he did it in Muscle and Fitness too.
Right.
So as the magazines developed in the 80s, they included the women. There was no resistance. There was resistance in the culture. There was resistance even in the federations. Women ran into resistance in their own families with their husbands, boyfriends, and parents. But they didn't run into any resistance from Joe Weider. And
Right.
so we were able to get all these women in the magazines and promote them right from the beginning. And that was a big benefit to the women.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember also you was in Geraldo, and you and the other female bodybuilders, you had like a discussion and stuff about your magazine. Well, the really that special edition of where all the
that Geraldo is on YouTube if you look for it.
Yeah.
2 parts. No, I did in 1995. I did a book called "The Women: Photographs of the Top Female Bodybuilder."
Right.
And I was there with Linda Murray and Sharon Burnell and a whole bunch of women at the Geraldo show to promote the book. And it was his. He had the biggest audience for that summer for that show.
Right.
And it was a huge success. I sold a lot of books.
Yeah.
But if you look it up on YouTube, it's there in 2 parts.
Well, also go fast for a little bit because I got to come in, and it was, for me, it was a highlight to talk to this man and ask him a question. Here we go. Oh God! Okay, this is, you know what? That's a good point. I remember a friend of mine. He competes. Big Keith Williams. He told me a story about Jay Cutler, and Jay back in the day, like a lot of the male bodybuilders, the way to make some money, they sell their clothes and stuff like that. Especially because good amount of male bodybuilders, they get a lot more following by guys who are come stop. So he told me the story how one day Jay took one of his shirts because he didn't. I think he forgot. I think he washed one of his shirts one day and it was still wet. So he said, "You know what? Let me send this guy a shirt." So he sent the shirt to Jay. Jay sent this guy the shirt. The guy gets the shirt. He smelled it. He said, "It doesn't smell like you." So what Jay had to do from now on is like there were 2 or 3 shirts under his workout clothes, so he makes sure every time because those guys can tell what he smells like, even when he sweats.
Well, women in general, models, actresses, whatever, who are promoting themselves, have always sold their clothing, especially their underwear. They would take off their underwear and put it in a plastic bag. And so they would get $100 for it or something. People, the thing about people, and the internet has sort of given us more insight into this. It is just weird what turns people on in general, what pulls the trigger. Like you go on porno sites and people have fetishes you never even heard of.
Yeah.
And subcategories of subcategories. But, so female bodybuilders and models and whatever have often sold their used clothing rather than, like you can go and probably Jay Cutler will sell you T-shirts that say Jay Cutler on it that are brand new like that. And you can buy merchandise from other people. But I'm not surprised if many of the people sell stuff that they've worn because that's happening in other industries as well.
Yeah, it's just, I was, like I said, like a lot of ladies, like I said, do OnlyFans because it's a way. Well, that's, like I said, he really gave us both us that day some great knowledge. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of KL's live with him. We have here our man, shout to our man Josh Simpkins coming through. He says, "What's good? What's good with you, brother? If you want to come in, the link is in the description." So, I think people like him really brought something to the world that, especially for people who are not comfortable with the idea of women with muscle, or just muscle on anybody, period. Now, with the men, they get a little more leeway because they're men, but still they have to deal with people looking at them certain ways. There's always the talk about use of steroids, stuff like that. But they're athletes, and they're the sport which there's not a lot of lucrative deals. If you're like a lucky handful who might get a sponsorship for like a company or something like that. But this is people like what he did, and the stuff he did really resonate with us who are fans. We just popped in. Our man Josh, you can go check his site, Women Bodybuilding Empire Nation.
How's it going, Empire Nation?
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh, welcome. Did you ever? I know you thought about it. Do you ever remember Bill Dobbins? You ever seen his work?
Oh yeah, all the time. Man, he did a lot of stuff with. He did like Topps trading cards, taking pictures of women's bodybuilding, and taking all sorts of pictures of like. He did a lot of work with Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia and stuff like that. And that's how I saw a lot of his work. His photos, very unique photos at that.
Yeah, I think it's for a lot of classics. Like he worked with a lot of the top ladies. Like you mentioned
Rachel McLish and all them. Who else? Linda Murray.
Yeah, it's a lot of legends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, he did another interview. This was like about 9 years ago. And this is with Sean Ray. You know Sean Ray, he's a legendary bodybuilder. He's been in the game for a long time. Right now, he does a lot of commentary on bodybuilding. And this interview did Sean Ray like about, I would say, almost 10 years ago. It's now 2026, so this was back in 2016. So I'm going to pull up the interview he did with Sean Ray, and you can check it out and, give your thoughts.
Sean Ray for MDTV with world-renowned photographer extraordinaire Bill Dobbins at the LA Fit Expo 2016. Bill, as we start the year off, who would ever imagine this expo would have gotten to this size? Is this something that you could have predicted back in the day when we were coming up?
I could have predicted it 4 or 5 years ago because I saw it getting better and bigger every year.
Absolutely.
And there's no place, anything like this place, anywhere near this place. So this must be the place.
Well, Bill, you've been around an awful long time. You were there when Gold's Gym opened in 1975, right around the corner in Santa Monica, where Arnold and all the guys are there. Tell me your opinion on how the landscape has changed in kind of condensing, because I know there's been a lot of changes through the lens that you've got photographing these bodybuilders. But tell me some of the changes that you've witnessed in bodybuilding as a fan and as a photographer that are good.
Well, I'm a fan of a lot of different sports, including auto racing. And they're all going the same way. they're getting bigger, more technological, more money involved, and so bodybuilding has gone the same route. There's bigger sponsors. Amazon.com is involved now. So this is kind of inevitable. It's one of those things, you grow or you die.
From a photographer's perspective, how have you had to change and adapt in photographing the human physique?
Well, I haven't had to make any changes at all, really, except for the fact that in the studio now, I shoot movie lights instead of strobes, so I can shoot video without changing the lighting.
The $1 million question, is it better now as a photographer shooting the athletes that you're dealing with now compared to, say, 20 years ago?
Well, the problem is the business. The magazines are not giving assignments the way they used to. They're not paying much for the photos that they do pay for. And everything's sort of spread out. I mean, I was a Weider photographer. Now, Weider's gone to New York. They use all their own people there. The other magazines are not investing very much in photography. So bodybuilding photography or fitness photography is in the same boat as all the rest of photography. The same thing has happened to photography that happened to music.
Right.
Only we didn't get iTunes to save us.
Yeah, that's true. And now, going to the Arnold Classic, the bodybuilding posing, which was no longer scored, is now being rescored by Arnold Schwarzenegger. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I've always believed in the aesthetics of bodybuilding. And Arnold himself, although he was a big man, was also very, very good at posing. And he studied Ed Corney and the other guys who were good at posing. The problem with a lot of these guys now is they're so big and so thick that they can't do many of those poses. Can you imagine Phil Heath doing a stomach vacuum? And my solution to that has been all along to have weight divisions in pro bodybuilding like they have in the amateurs, because otherwise you don't have the opportunity for a Sean Ray to win a major pro title.
There you have it from the photographer extraordinaire. We've got his opinion. Bring back the weight classes and help solve all the problems in the world of professional bodybuilding. But for now, Bill Dobbins will continue to shoot the physiques as they're presented and try to get them out there to us as fans. For Bill Dobbins, I'm here at the LA Fit Expo 2016.
Well, that's amazing viewpoint. He really understood the aspects of bodybuilding, being that he was there from, especially if you say like you talk about he was hanging out with guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane. You know, he's really cool with someone like Sean. I know he's still like, I think the last time he was doing some photo sessions was when he did some work for Wings of Strength. And that was the person who was announced about his death. That was Jake Wood. I usually do the Jake, but I'm gonna be serious this time. I'm not gonna do the Jake thing. But you know, they were good friends. They, you know, he really, I would say, put bodybuilding on the map as a whole.
Yeah, he made bodybuilding mainstream, no doubt. And
Yeah, I noticed that he had like several cancers. You know, because you know, there's a difference. You know, like, you know, years ago, like he was like healthy looking, and then, you know, you seeing him in these couple of interviews that he was deteriorating a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
What?
face, you could tell.
Well, he was doing. I think before his passing, he was dealing with Hodgkin's, and that's really severe. That's another form of cancer. He had also lymphemic cancer. He survived. It was something that if you follow RX Muscle, you know, you follow Dave Palumbo, he mentioned it. He got his birth date wrong. You know, he was born in 43 because they say he was born in
I've seen that
63. Yeah. And if you really know somebody, you should be aware of that. But I am going to publish this video because he's going to talk about it. If you know, I follow Dave Palumbo. You know, he's really been, even though Dave never been a pro, he's been in the sport for about forever. You know, he's also
Yeah, before you do that, There was something that he was talking about the weight class, and like back in the day, you would see like the weight classes with the women, and they kind of changed it. Like they had the heavyweight, the lightweight bodybuilding, middleweight. You don't see that no more. They just have bodybuilding.
Well, in
So
the amateurs, you have weight classes in the amateurs because
Well, they
that's
call it A, B, and C. Yeah.
yeah. Well, for that's for like divisions like bikini, wellness, but with women's bodybuilding, they're the ones who still do weight classes.
Yeah.
Physique, figure, bikini, and those are divisions. They still do it by the numbers. But women's bodybuilding and I think the men's bodybuilding are the only ones that still go by weight classes. I remember, like, I think he said in an interview we talked to him how he said that he was the one to get the idea to I think approached to Ben Weeder because he still had a good friendship connection with Ben Weeder about doing weight classes because what it did was it was one thing you remember back in 2021 and it's like 2000 when they reformatted the women's bodybuilding division for the Olympia and just the whole women's body division. They didn't do it to the men; they did it to the women. Where they had weight classes. You remember, you had two Miss Olympias. You had Adrina Bichette and Valentina Shapigin, and that's always
Mhm.
been a controversy to me, where they could have, it was either between those two. If they went with Andrula, I feel like she was the Miss Olympia for the fans who really like women's bodybuilding. If you go with Valentina, she was more like the Miss Olympia for the company because she's very attractive and had a great physique. Both ladies had great physique, but they instead decided to have a draw. Then he said during the interview when he did the weight classes, Juliet Bergman came back, and she was out of the game for nearly 10 to 15 years. She was, and she came back. She won in 2001. Come back one more time, but then Linda came back, and I remember the story somebody told me, and let's because this is one lady I've been kind of friendly with. She told me a story how I think it was around when they had last time they had weight classes. It was around 2004. I think it was either the first. I think it was either right after. I think it was right after. Um, I think when Iris was competing for Miss Olympia, and they split the weight class. I think it was in. It was. I think it was 2006. We still had the weight classes, I believe, or 2004, one of them. And there was in the lightweight class you had Denise Messino and Diane Cadeau. Now, back then, you used to let the ladies have little costumes and outfits when they do their pose routines.
Yeah.
Denise Messina had that crazy little dominatrix glittering spike thing on her head. What she told me was they wanted Denise Messina to win, but they hate that outfit that she wears. So that's why they went with Diana Cadeau, and Diana went after the title against Iris. But Iris came in a great physique. She won.
Hmm. She did have a great physique.
Yeah. Iris, like I said, this all people can always go like, wait, Iris was the talk about how Iris, yeah. But
Mm.
the thing for me, women's bodybuilding changed when Kim Zaveski was Miss Olympia, that last Miss Olympia back in '99. We have here a guest, our wizard, our knowledge,
Merlin.
he's our Merlin, my man Jeremy from Art of Female Muscle.
Jeremy, what's up?
Hey guys, how's it going?
He just recently did an interview with Rachel Newman this past weekend. You want to check it out, you can go to the Art of Female Muscle. He's also, ladies, who are you listening to this video? He's also looking to maybe do some more interviews. He's been setting his game up. So welcome, brother, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, guys, Happy New Year to you too.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Well, like I said, you've been following bodybuilding just as long as I have, Jeremy. What's your thoughts of the late Mr. Bill Dobbins?
I miss him. I miss his work because his photography is just second to none. Quite a few years ago, I got both of his books, which are the women photographs of the top female bodybuilders and Muscle Amazons. Those are his photographic collections, but he also had quite a number of articles that I've been reading. It's like his website is called BillDobbins.me, and he gives his thoughts on quite a number of things about women's bodybuilding going back to, I think, 2012. So it's like he expressed when the Miss Olympia was discontinued in 2014. He wrote about that. He when women's physique was created, he wrote about that. He didn't agree with women's physique when it came out.
Oh wow.
He thought it was supposed to be. He didn't agree with the creation of that. He thought it should be just simply lightweight bodybuilding, because and he, like has been expressed already, for 2000 to 2005, he had weight classes in the pro ranks for women's bodybuilding, and he very much agreed with that. But he said we shouldn't have a women's physique division. It should be lightweight bodybuilding. So he's kind of a controversial figure, because I mean some of his stuff that he would post, but I mean especially from a photographic perspective, I mean a Bill Dobbins picture is a work of art. It truly is. I mean, if you look at some of the true artistic photographs that he's done of so many people. Yeah, that's it. No, that's not it. Let me send you the link for it.
But yeah,
but I mean, I mean, he's so influential, so influential. The only other guy I can think of that has had, the only guy that I can think of who has had more, just as much as far as guys go, the impact on female bodybuilding is Steve Wennerstrom. And if people who don't know who that is, he was the official IFBB women's historian for quite a number of years, and he wrote articles as well. So when I was coming up in my fandom of the women's side of bodybuilding competition, I read those guys' articles all the time, because I mean they're so incredibly knowledgeable. I never ever had the opportunity to meet Bill, but I did meet Steve one time, and it was just delightful to meet Steve. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Bill in my time prior to his passing, so I miss him. I mean, he's definitely a major figure as far as women's competition go, and his photography will stand the test of time as a testament to his artistic genius.
Yep, for sure is.
Yeah, he like I say, he took photos of amazing ladies from the 80s to 90s to the 2000s. He's worked with some of the top, women in the sport, and also some of the top men, in the sport. What he contributed to the sport was amazing. And I think that the thing is that people, I think, are still on the fence when it comes down to the idea of women with muscle. They feel like it's not, women shouldn't have muscle. We always talk about this, how some people have to deal with people, trolling them or also commenting about them have muscle. Like, man, just sent me the link, so I'm going to share it with y'all. I'm gonna read it.
It's a long article. It's a long article. You might not be able to read all of it.
I won't get to details of it. I skimmed across of it. Okay, it says lightweight bodybuilding, not physique. And here it is. This is from, I believe, from 2002. You have Dan Cadeau, Denise Massino, Judith Bergman, Eugenio Keene, Linda Murray, and also, I think it was and also Iris Kyle. So he said like this: the Miss Olympia in 2020 featured these categories: bodybuilding, physique, fitness, figure, and bikini. These are all competitions for extreme athletes that involve a tremendous amount of physical effort and dieting, and which procedure extraordinary bodies. But while bodybuilding is a sport which not even accepts, but I have some great arguments for this. These other categories are quite clearly very demanding and highly specialized types of beauty contests. So let's get through here. It says some sports involving evaluating competitors on the basis of form or aesthetics rather than measuring things like how much, how fast, or how high. In both types, the judges rank competitors according to established standards by they don't set the standards themselves, even though some subjective interpretations may be involved. Bodybuilding is a sport of form, and both tradition and history set standards. Okay, so we go here. Here we go. Here it says the lightweight bodybuilding. Lightweight bodybuilding is bodybuilding which is a sport, therefore the same standard apply. The only difference is requirement to be within a certain body or weight limit. Amateur bodybuilders is conducted using a number of weight classes. This is also true to other sports, which body size can be average. Olympic wrestlers and boxers compete against opponents who are essentially the same size. But pro bodybuilders for women currently has no weight division. A smaller amateur who turns pro has to compete directly against bodybuilders, sometimes 30 or 30 pounds heavier. Says back in 2000, the IFB began including lightweight division in pro female bodybuilding. This allowed smaller women like Juliette Bergman and Julie Bichette and Diane Cadeau to win titles at the time when there was a lot of opposition to increasing mass and masculinity of the top pros. Women, this created a different look that could be used to publicize the sport in the eyes of those who did not, readily accept the the physiques of the bigger female bodybuilders. Okay, so he says women's physique category is aimed at women who prefer to develop a less muscular yet athletic and aesthetically pleasing physique. Unlike former women's bodybuilders in the official description from IFBB, although the judges were told to look at less massive or muscular women, the one specific difference in the rules was competitors did double bicep poses with open hands rather than closed fists. So here, as you look here, and this is this is a back. I think this is that's Annie. I remember that's Annie Furtis. I'm trying to recognize who's that. I think that's I think it's Julia McCarney. I believe that's Trish Warren, or I think it's figured this one's fit. This most definitely we know that's bikini. And you look at this level, where if you look at someone like Annie back in the day, if she competed now, she would be women's physique because she had a great look to her. She very feminine, great look. She even competed in women's physique for a couple of years when she came back. So here's a bunch of lists here, but here are women like you have Iris Kyle, you have Yexenia King, you have Diana Cadeau, amazing ladies. You have here that was in 2002 with return of Linda Murray, and you had Judith Bergman. This is women's physique. Some of the ladies I think I recognize. I think I see there's Alan Swanson there. I can't recognize a couple of others here. I believe I think Sharona Kitten right here at the end. And we have that's Valentina Japigan and Yagzini. And that's Kathleen Lee Francois. You had Danielle Bailey. Danielle Bailey was the one who pretty much.
There are a lot of really good articles on that page that he's written, and this is just one of them. But he doesn't hold back as to what he really thinks. I mean, in this very article that we're looking at, he accuses the IFBB Pro League of discrimination.
Oh wow!
So he has absolutely no problem voicing his opinions on it. So maybe his views changed over time, but when this particular one came out, that's what he thought, because he didn't agree with the divisions. Like at the time, this was sort of the figure and fitness. He didn't really necessarily agree with those divisions. He probably wouldn't agree. He probably wouldn't agree with wellness and bikini today. So, but I mean, that was one thing about Bill is that he's all for the women, such like that, but he doesn't necessarily mean that he's for the organizations. So that's one big thing about Bill is that. But I mean, he has so much experience and so much knowledge to back it up. So, I mean, that's one thing that's always really impressed me about Bill is that he's not in any way afraid to voice his opinion. And including what he thought of the powers that be. It doesn't mean that I don't think he was necessarily an opponent of theirs, but I mean, he had no problem voicing criticism where he thought it was due.
It's the first thing to say, because you know what? I remember when me and KL did, I said an interview with Kim and KL, how he talked about how it was his ideal to push for weight classes. But then I think afterwards, 2006, they went back to the old, playbook where you didn't have weight classes. And
Right.
that's why
And he
Go ahead.
talks about that in the very article you posted. He talks about that.
Yeah.
He talks about the history as to what happened. So
Yeah. And then I think what affected also women's physique, because you had a lot of ladies jumping from women's bodybuilding to women's physique, and they were bringing that muscle aesthetic. They were much bigger, much grainier. And I think the judges didn't sit down and say, you know what, you stay where you at. Even though you're coming down here because you feel like you're more comfortable, but you're bringing that same thing. You're affecting how that division is going to look from now on. And we look at people like Rachel Daniels. We look at people like Natalia right now. She looks like she could do women's bodybuilding. She could be bigger than the women from back in 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, folks, I'm going to jump in here because I just went to his IG. I'm going to pull up some, he put up some great pictures and photos back in the day. A lot of stuff's not all, it's just basically good, good content here. Nothing too risque. I know you guys, we want to look here. We have some amazing ladies here. Like I think this is one lady I recognize her, but I don't know her name right off. He did like a lot of models, a lot of artsy stuff. I mean, he had a great style, look to it. I think it's one lady I feel like I recognize her. I'm not sure. He did guys too. He wasn't discriminative. Some celebrities and models. I said he's a fan of race cars. That's what he was into. But he just had a great look to it. He did a lot of fashion. Here's also the picture right here at the bottom. You can see Ronnie Coleman. You see Franco Colombo. That's Kevin Laverne. I mean, right up here, you see the picture of Lou Ferrigno. They got him on some green light looking like the Incredible Hulk. Oh, Lou! He really worked with some boxers. Also, this is the one I was talking about, him and Sharon Bernot. This is the one with the lion from the women. I actually saw that book. Like, I mean, man, Glenn, when I went to visit him, do my first interview with him at his office, he had that book. I looked through it. I was just in awe at it. And he really loved his work. And his passion showed. Like, this is cute. The two little kids in the sand, it's black and white. Here, the homeless guy, all I need is pizza and some weed. And it says, all I want is a pretty girl to smoke pot with. I don't know. I'm not talking about the pizza and the girl. You eat a pot. This is like a homeless gentleman here. I mean, and also one lady I think he really inspired to get into the photography business is Annie Revicchio. And I met Annie twice. And, Annie runs Muscle Angels. And Muscle Angels is really one of the very popular, photo, companies around. We do a lot of sessions with the ladies. Also, I got to interview photographer Sean, Nelson. And I reached out to him. This is like about a few years ago when I started doing my content. And I said, you know what? I want to reach out to somebody different. And also my man, Russ G. He's a photographer. These guys really understand and really highlight these men and women. We have your comment from my man, XA Gucci 23. And shout out to him. He says, Happy New Year, George Page.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And you reflect on what he contributed to the sport and the women he had touched. I know I was talking to some ladies, like one lady I know, Miss Nancy Lewis. I wanted her to come on here because she worked with him, but she had to work. Yeah, sorry, it'd be great to have her on here. She's a legend. She told me like he was a pain in the ass, but he was a good. He knew what he was doing. He was a good dude.
yeah, I mean, he wrote so much about so many different things. He wrote about how he believed female muscles should be promoted in society. That it really is. He saw, I guess, some of the things that are going on as gender discrimination, because he felt, hey, if you can have skinny girls up getting promoted and such like that, why can't you do it with muscular women? So that was one thing that I really liked about him, is just that he had, he wasn't a mouthpiece for organizations. He spoke from the hip. I mean, he spoke from the heart. I mean, it's like if he didn't agree with you, he would definitely let you know it. But he wrote articles for so many other places. One of them was Muscle and Fitness. I just posted a link to that one, and I had to do this for George because this was one that Bill Dobbins, I don't know when he wrote this, but this was over on muscleandfitness.com where he also wrote a bunch of articles, but I had one that he wrote about Andrea Shaw.
Well, y'all keep coming. Y'all keep coming. I gotta step out for a second. I just heard a knock on my door, but y'all keep talking.
Oh, okay.
That's
I don't
first.
know.
Yeah, Bill Dobbins definitely left behind a legacy. Man, I always enjoyed his work. You know, those unique photos, you know.
Yeah, and he got to work with so many people. Someone that I just posted about not too long ago, Sharon Bruneau. She's like one of the most photogenic female bodybuilders of all time. If you've ever watched her, this is a woman that had a wonderful physique, but also just coupled with supermodel levels of facial beauty. So, just amazing. And she worked, geez, how many pictures did she do with Bill?
I lost count.
That was a lot, but I mean, they're truly beautiful photographs. So he just had the opportunity to work with, I know Isabel Terrell, also she had the opportunity to work a lot with Bill. So it would be
Andretta Blanchett and who else?
Denise Rudkowski.
Oh, yep.
It's there too. I put a little pictorial tribute on my page just.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Some of my favorite pictures that he took. So, but yeah, I mean, he was a true artist with the camera. So he will be very, very greatly missed.
Great. Let's see.
Oh, what you gotta say, Al?
Oh, there he is.
I'm back, brothers. Like I said, just had a knock on the door, and just took care of business. But yeah, I just saw the link that my man sent me. he knows me. He knows that I can't help.
But I mean, it's a great article if you have the opportunity to read it. I mean, he says that Andrea Shaw, she's soft-spoken. A little bit of it. Yeah, she says she's soft-spoken, but she's a machine in the gym. So.
Yeah,
she is. Watch her YouTube. Watch those YouTube videos and stuff.
She's put out a new working her glutes. This is I think this got to be around about 2022, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, he said like this. Andrea is the perfect blend of nature and nurture. Bodybuilding greatness is very, very much dependent on genetics, as a true in all sports. But the must be a lot of nurture working in combination with a nature to achieve success. In other words, success requires a lot of hard discipline and
consistent
effort over time. Andrea Shaw has amazing physique structure. Yeah, that is big, muscular, and aesthetic. For that, she can credit in part her grandparents and great-grandparents. But additionally, it turns out she has a she's a hard worker as anyone goes to the gym. Day after.
Hello?
Anybody home?
Yeah, he broke up. I don't know what happened.
I thought it was me. I didn't know if I was breaking up.
Everything's okay.
Can anybody hear me? I don't know. Is anybody there?
Everybody.
Alex, you there? You can hear me? Technical difficulties.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but what happened to all of the what happened to
I
all the
don't know.
streams, guys?
I don't know what happened.
Anybody home?
You gotta come
Yeah,
in.
that's what I'm trying to figure out. I
Yeah.
stepped away for just a second, but it's like it came back. It's like, all right, I see the picture.
I'm still here.
Anybody know?
Does
Anybody
anyone know
know
what's
what
going
happened to the
on?
video? I don't know myself. I mean, we're all
I don't know. Maybe he got it.
we're all still clearly on stage, as it were, but some
Yeah.
reason all the video disappeared.
Hope everything's okay.
Is George there?
I hope so too.
He must have had some technical difficulties.
Well, but the thing is,
This has never happened before.
Why are we all here except for him?
I don't know. That's
All
a good
right.
question. I don't know.
I hope he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'll probably come back.
Did anybody see what happened? Or
no, I think he was reading something and that it just happened.
Yeah, he was reading the article and it just popped off.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird. As to why we're all still here, but he's not. So we should at least be able to hear the guy. So,
yeah. Hold on.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I could get to his
Yeah, I'm gonna try and see if I can get his IG, see what's going on.
I don't know, this thing be acting up. All right, maybe you probably gotta get back to him because my thing is acting up. Okay. Okay. All right.
We're getting something.
Hey, you're back. I don't know what happened.
Scared us.
George, don't you ever
can't
scare
hear
me.
it.
Yeah, don't do that to us again.
I don't know what
Don't
happened.
scare me like that again, man.
I was reading, going through the everything, and then next thing you know, I noticed that I'm not hearing anybody. I thought I'd be hearing people talking.
Right. We're like, what the hell happened to you?
I don't know. Maybe when I stepped
Hang
away,
on, let me try
something.
something. Be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. But it was like I said. I went through the article. I know y'all probably saw some of it before I went out, and he really,
Should
really.
just read a paragraph.
I couldn't help it. It was a great thing. Hey, I got to tell you, this is my shit. I cook this shit. Me. I
Whatever.
don't need to be a middleman tell me how to tell my shit.
Whatever.
I gotta do my Franklin saying here now and then. I gotta teach people where how to make it feel me. But it was a great article.
George, what happened? I was all quiet for a moment. What happened?
I can't explain to you, but I'm going to share the link if you want to check it out. It's in I just left the comment section. You want to check it out. We have some people here. Maybe shout out to them here. We have here my man DJ Jeff coming through. He says this. He says, "Hi George, Alex, and others. I found your Instagram. I am looking forward to making my appearance on Sunday Fun Day when I get to meet female bodybuilders for my first time." All right. Also, shout out to him. He says, "Josh, what's the Instagram name for you?" So, what's your Instagram, Josh? Share it with him.
Okay. Go to Instagram. It's under Women's Bodybuilding Empire and join the Empire Nation.
If you want, you can. If you're still in the YouTube, just leave it in the comments section. You can follow that too. Also, he says, "I can hear you. Appreciate that." Also, he says this is from Caleb Hall. He says, "I wish for them to make a sequel to Body Odyssey." Is that one of his videos? Body Odyssey?
Yeah, that's that movie. What's her name? Jay Fuchs was in.
Yeah, Jay Fuchs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nut. He's a nut. Always like commenting on the female body. He loves female bodybuilders. But shout out to him. He be showing me some love. But he's a nut.
Well, I appreciate everybody who comes through here. So he also says, "Happy New Year to all female bodybuilders and muscular women out there." Yeah, I think his photography really inspired women who, like I said again, with Andrea, she mentioned how she saw a magazine. I'm not sure. I think I said what it was, but I got clicked out before I could, And I think it was a magazine that probably inspired her. I think it was what was one? It was one of the health and fitness magazines, I believe, and that's what got her into it. And a lot of people, like me, when I was coming up, I often say this: my older brother used to play football here in our hometown, and he used to get the muscle mags. So you used to go to your grocery store and find them. You were right there. You had that. Grocery stores used to have it. You go find. Even had the dirty magazines too, but you went on to get them. But and we used to look at them because guys like Lee Labrada, Samir Banut, Lee Haney, Frank Singh was still competing the good part of the 80s before he finally retired, and Franco Colombo, those guys. And then the women was something like people like Corey and Rachel, Carla Dunlap, Angela Langer, Judith Bergman. Last night, me and Kale, we did a little thing. We talked about women's magazines. Like I think, remember, Jeremy talked about Steve Winterstrom, and Steve was one of those guys that really, gave women's bodybuilding an opportunity that most people like. You remember the old women's? It was originally called Women's Physique Publication, but then
okay, yeah, that's from the Women's Physique World. They spinoff
it was the first magazine, but then they changed the name to Women's Physique World, and it was like, I think it started around about the early 80s, and it was a great publication if you're a fan of women of muscle. And it was Jeremy talked about Steve Winterstrom. So I might say Steve Weinberger, but Steve Winterstrom. And I remember he was married to a female bodybuilder. I think Jeremy, I think it was Lisa Lorio. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Lisa Lorio.
Ariel,
Yeah,
and she
Lisa
had a great.
Mario. Interesting that you mentioned about women's physique. Let me get it here. I've started posting the covers of all Women's Physique World issues over on my profile, and I also found this link. I know I'm putting it in the private chat again, but this is the main website for Women's Physique World magazine, and they have digital downloads of all of their editions, and they also have digital downloads of all of their earlier magazines,
Sweet.
which were like, let's see, what is it?
Yeah, I got some of the video.
Women's Strength and Physique publication, which was in black and white to show how far back it goes. Then you also had, what was it? Women's Physique publication, and that was in early 80s. But I mean, if you are looking to find anything in related to Women's Physique World, that's where you go. So
Mhm.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because like the magazines lasted for a good while. I think it stopped, like Kale said, it stopped around about 2006. I mean, I got a few of them in storage in my storage closet. Lale's here, some recognizable here. You have right here. You have the late Kay Baxter, just a crazy great physique. And, I remember
Nice.
what was that? Me and Kay were talking to a gentleman who knew Kay back in the day, and she was possibly make a return, but then she got an accident. She passed away. Some say she should have won Miss Olympia during her career, maybe beat out Corey, but politics and sometimes some BS. Also, who else is in here? Let's see if we all. It's quite a few amazing ladies.
And understand, those are not just the covers; those are the full magazines. Every picture of every page. So if you're wanting to like get a collection or wanting to see what we were all reading in print in the past, these are the actual magazines.
Man, this is bringing back memories.
from cover to end. So. How many remember the back page?
Oh yeah, they always had the back page to show whoever was on.
They always had the back page.
Didn't it come with like a poster too?
I'm not sure about that, but I always remember the back page, because the back page.
Yeah, the back page. Yeah,
was some female bodybuilder doing a rear bicep pose. So, but it was a great magazine. So.
Yeah, it was a great magazine. It was for, if you are a muscle person, it was kind of like your Playboys. It was kind of like, because you get to see, you get a lot of great photos. I think Bill did a lot of work with this magazine. Also, we talked about the other night, yesterday night, my man Kale, here he is, he's back. We talked about, everybody remember Muscle Elegance? That was Denise Messina. Yeah.
That was Denise Messina.
Yeah, it was the first real kind of Playboy version of female bodybuilding, because you get to see women fully in the nude, some great, amazing ladies. I can't remember all of them because I had a couple of issues, but not as many because it's hard to get those. You have to, you used to get them through like L. Scott Sales. If you know what L. Scott Sales is, they used to sell them. I still get a catalog from them. Mm-hmm.
No, I got like one issue of it. I seen it in newsstands. Yeah, it was something else. It would have interviews with other female bodybuilders that did sessions and stuff. So
yeah, and Denise did a lot of sessions. She did more. I would say not as like if you look at someone like Lisa Cross and a couple of others who have, like, either lady who I had a pleasure meeting and doing interviews with Rondelie Charisma, who did hardcore blowed out porn. Some of the ladies did mostly just tea stuff, like girl stuff, just posing and stuff like that. But you see a lot of ladies that do go all the way. That's one thing I think we might talk about with it. We have to maybe make it an adult.
That'd be a fun conversation.
I remember when. Sorry, go ahead.
Great. George, I will be able to try and go to my first bikini bodybuilder in Greensboro so I can meet lovely ladies. Good. Go ahead. Cool, brother. You know. What you say?
When we were talking about Denise Messino, I'm trying to remember the show that this happened because she's always been a controversial figure in female bodybuilding for that reason. With that, when she would get into such like muscle elegance, was controversial for that reason. She did what was I can't remember the show, but she did some kind of really risque posing routine with a couple other guys that the audience booed her like big time because she did that. And I was like, okay, I mean, and then was it her who came out one time at the Miss Olympia with that headgear?
I just talked about that.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that. Okay, I thought.
It's funny that you mentioned headgear. They don't wear headgear anymore.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Did you see that? I mean, have the rest of you guys seen this headgear that we're talking about?
It was
pretty outside.
It was like sparkly, kind of look like
kind of like Dominatrix, Cleopatra type of.
Yeah.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah. It was on the.
Not really.
It was featured in the Super Chic documentary.
Would it be on YouTube? Well, I don't know. I don't know what y'all talking about. I just heard from George about that.
Let me see if I can see if I got to put in Denise Mancino and see if I can find it. The picture.
It was during the 2004 Olympia.
2004 Olympia.
And
2004.
Yeah. And also there's a controversy where she used to, when she did posing, she used to always hold her boobs up. And I remember somebody saying, you don't have to do that. You don't have to hold up your boobs because the judges could see you from below. Because, she was the one when women started really getting into breast implants, she really kind of brought a new level because she was really very ginormous. I think she was probably as big as a double D. But I think I found a video. Give me a second and let me see if it's the right video, if I can play it. Give me a second. Let's pause. All right. I think this is from 2004. She was doing some guest posing at an event. And let's see if I could. Give me a second. Let me see if I can bring it up. And it's, it's her wearing the mask. It's, like I said, she had a great look to her. Great physique. It's also from her own. You can go to her. It's on her YouTube channel because she used to sometimes come on and do some lives every now and then on YouTube, but she stopped doing it after a while. I even talked to her a couple of times. I even reached out to maybe set something up for an interview, but she never got back with me. I know how it is sometimes. But here we are. So I'm going to give me a second. I won't play because I know I gotta be careful because YouTube is always about copyright infringement in music. So I'm just gonna play the video. Yeah, here you go. And this is the infamous where it's like chainmail. Yeah, chainmail. Because remember back in the day, you used to like the ladies. Remember that one with Helen Bouchard where she dressed up like a soldier because she used to be in the I think the Canadian Royal Army or Marines. I forgot which one it was. And she dressed up like
you don't have to play it.
Come out.
Yeah.
You don't have to play it if it's like a risk.
I think you should pause. Yeah, just to say, just to
Just to show what you're talking about. So.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. That's good. Okay. I mean, I don't know what was wrong with it.
That I wouldn't have otherwise got to. I think I've done a lot of guest appearances and guest
George, you don't have to play the whole
in
thing.
Hawaii and in Essen, Germany, and of course, I'm from Brooklyn.
Yeah, you don't have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, you're playing. Well, here it is, and this is again the infamous mask.
Okay, but what was wrong with it? I don't know. I don't understand.
If we have to explain to you, then you're not going to get it.
What? No, I mean, it's like what's the dominatrix?
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, that's all. But you ain't put it in detail. I mean, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I'm not.
You just.
But I'm just looking. How the fuck I supposed to know that?
At it, but we.
Okay, now you refresh my memory.
That's how you. This is my shit. This is my shit. I
don't care what it is. I don't care what it is.
Brick. But
that's corny
because you're a cornball. But that's because it's a controversy. Because IPB wanted to present themselves very more.
That does raise some eyebrows. So,
and like I said, yeah. And Denise is a beautiful woman. She's Puerto Rican. She has a twin sister, but she never got into bodybuilding. And she had a great look.
They doing crazy stuff now. I mean, pertaining to that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I'm just saying, like, they doing crazy stuff now as it is, like a bit similar to that. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe at that time it was crazy,
It was because
yes, at that time,
the IFBB always is trying to show itself as a family-friendly organization, and because a lot of the stuff that Denise did was as far as they were concerned, she ran afoul of that, which is why with outfits like this and that routine that I mentioned earlier. So she sometimes ran afoul of the IFBB.
I get it, but I get it, but at the same time, it's already too late already. Because I mean, they got the steroid usage and all this stuff, and I mean,
right. With steroids,
I get it.
With steroids, that's just, you might say it's par for the course. But when you get to something very sexual or fetish, like we talk about how some of these ladies, they try to keep, like, a lot of ladies who do like the OnlyFans, or as I call them, the Beat Me websites. Some like to keep it close to the vest. The other ones, they know that's the way to make money. Like people, that's why we talk about how Angela Yo, like I was talking with somebody, how Angela Yo would never be Miss Olympia because what she does, she's an emo looking girl. She's very dark. She's not as wholesome as they want her to be. And also she does OnlyFans. You look at some other competitors. There's that whole thing with Discord. I talked about how Natalia did her biceps, but that was a way to make money because you got to think about it. This is not a very lucrative sport. And some of these women, like we talked about earlier, how he talked about how we talked about how Jay Cutler did what he did, or there was a video where we talked about Kai Green and his infamous grapefruit thing. It's out there. And that's why I say Kai would never be Mr. Olympia because of what he did. Because he had a great physique, great look, but because of what he did in his life. But now he's very rich. He made money off of that. It's like a good example, like Kim Kardashian. That's an example right there. She got famous for two things: her father being one of the lawyers doing OJ's trial, and also her video with Ray J. And she parlayed that into a $1 billion business. The reality show with her mother and her sisters, clothing lines, did some movies and TV shows. I mean, she parlayed that into success. Controversy can bring, but sometimes controversy can hurt you. We have here, shout out to my man, DJ says, I'm going to make my first appearance on a Sunday Fun Day talking about.
I think you already said that.
Guys loving ladies. I think, he said that again. Also, this is from Caleb says, I'm a fan of Denise Messino. Yeah, everybody was a fan of Denise Messino. Also, this is from a man, Jeff. He says, me too. She is a beautiful lady. Also, this is from Jeff says, Kay, I agree with you. And that's you're the only person.
she could have did something slick with it, because at first when I'm looking at it, I couldn't really tell. I couldn't connect the dots until she could have made it like a sci-fi. She could have had a sword or with a cape or something like that with that along with it. It could have been like some He-Man type of thing from that 1987 Master of the Universe type of thing, film and stuff, where she could have almost looked like a Skeletor or something like that.
Well, that was like I said, with her, she had her own style, and I think she probably wanted something
Yeah,
that kind of reflected, like I said,
sexuality.
yeah, because like I said, again, she's a very attractive woman. Like a couple of controversies was that, and also when she did opposing because her boobs were so big, her, pop out from. I remember what movie it
Yeah,
was.
she was
I
like the
mean,
Brandy May. I know about Denise Messino. I'm not a stranger
Yeah.
to her.
I got to head out,
What's
guys. So great time, great conversation, guys, and RIP to Bill Dobbins. He will very much be missed. So take it easy, guys.
Yeah, peace
all
out.
right?
all right.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy, for coming through. Appreciate your knowledge and your information. Thank you for your support. Also, go check my man Jeremy, the Art of Female Muscle. It's again, he just did an interview with Rachel Newman, who's an IB Physique Pro. You want to check it out? It's a great interview. I got to see some of it because I had an interview that day. I was able to jump on. So, what? Like I said, as a fan of his work and how he really represented the beauty of woman with muscle. Bill Dobbins. I mean, this. I said there's people out there who does pretty good jobs. Guys like Sean Nelson, Anna Rivicchio, what she does over HD Physiques. There's a little bit more tame compared to what the Bill Dobbins stuff put out there. Sean, I think, is a little bit more close to the mindset of Bill Dobbins. So I like he just posted his itinerary for doing shows. I shared some ladies are
Does
side
Gilco Productions go in that category?
Gilco, yeah, that's really one. USA, remember USA Muscles? They did a lot of video stuff. They
Oh
didn't post
yeah.
many women, but they did a lot of the back pump room videos. They stopped doing those, but they started doing it again now because there was an issue because of accidents and stuff like that. But then they're coming back strong because you go into we as fans we like to see ladies when they're backstage getting pumped, getting ready. That's the sight about it, and then you see them on the stage. But Bill Dobbins really reflected the love, the respect, and the artistry of what women bodybuilding, just female bodybuilding in general is, and just bodybuilding in general. From the men to the women, to people like Arnold, people like Vince Taylor, to women like Rachel McLesh, and to people like Andrea, who's just, I will say she is the cream of the crop. She is the fifth element. She's perfect. So, gentlemen, you have anything to say, or or your thoughts?
R.I.P. Bill Dobbins.
Bill Dobbins,
I,
sir.
Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead, Alex.
yeah, go ahead.
As someone who was familiar with his work, I hope that continue anyone who loves photography and continues to support women's bodybuilding as much as he did. I hope his spirit lives on. Hope to continue give bodybuilding a new form of art, whether it's video, photography, whatever it is. His spirit will live on. He's rest in peace, Bill. Thank you for contributing to spreading the word to the community, to women's bodybuilding in general.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I really enjoyed his work, and that's how my infatuation with women's bodybuilding came about. And as soon as Saturday morning cartoons go off, they'll show women's bodybuilding right after, like on ABC or NBC, and seeing him taking pictures, that would be pretty cool.
And KL, you have anything to say?
No, not really. I just I'm glad I had an opportunity to talk with him a bit. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Rest in peace. Hope you're in a better place, and life goes on, not in a respectful way.
Well, like I said, this man really was an artist. He was a master of his craft. He really brought out something for if you're a fan of his work and respect his work. I mean, there'll never be a man like him. There's some people who do a pretty good job and do fairly well when it comes to photography, especially in the world of bodybuilding, especially with women. But Bill Dobbins was just a total level. I mean, and the ladies and the men he took pictures of, And instead again, I would say the ladies, because that's what my challenge about, giving ladies recognition. I mean, he spent many years doing what he loved, and contributing to life in the world in general. Um, if if anything, if I mean, it was a great opportunity for me to sit in on Kay's interview with him and to hear his thoughts, his perspective, his what really just getting an education. Like it's anytime you get to meet somebody who's done what he has done, you just sit down, listen, pay respect. If it's something you don't feel comfortable with, cool. Don't feel comfortable with it, then move on. But if you see something and that maybe inspires you in your future, maybe get you to do, maybe you know take some pictures, maybe do a little something, maybe really do something that's get out of your own way. Like that's one thing I learned. I doing this content and reach out to these ladies. I had to learn to get out of my own way because if I didn't do what I'm doing now, I'll be just stuck. I mean, just really just growing as a person. Like if I didn't do what I'm doing, I wouldn't meet people like KLA. I wouldn't have met people like Alex or even Josh or Art or several other people that I was hoping to make it, but I know they're busy, they got lives. They can't hold you down, but I do appreciate the ones who do come here and support this content. I'm always trying to find something to talk about and I'm always trying to be consistent. And I appreciate that, and people like Bill Dobbins, you inspired me to do what I'm doing now because you're a fan of these women. And I'm a fan of them too. Like I said, no one's perfect. Sometimes we some of them can be, but there's others that are really decent. The ladies who keep in contact with me, let me know what's going on. Some ladies we are right now. I got some interviews coming up this week, and got something cooking probably by the end of the month as I do my Sunday round table discussion. But Mr. Dobbins, you're in a better place. And even though you're gone, you left something in this world that really is art, and art can never really die. The man would be gone, but the memory of the man is always going to be here. So, folks, I would say, God bless you, Mr. Bill Dobbins. Bless you for what you did to contribute to this world and to the sport of bodybuilding and just to everything's out there. So, I want to say rest in peace and thank you. So, folks, I'd like to thank my guests that were here. Shout out to my man KL, the Wanderer coming through, even though he's a pain in the ass. I gotta, shout out to my nephew Alex. Shout out to Josh, who was here. Shout out to
Thank you for having me on.
not a problem. Shout out to the Art of Female Muscle, my man Jeremy. Go to his channel, check him out, support him. He's trying to do more out there. Shout out to DJ who came through. Shout out to Caleb who came through. Shout out to all y'all who come here and support my content and my channel. And you know what? We got a new year. I mean, time is flying fast, folks. We're already in the 5th day, and there's more to come. Some stuff going on out there in the world. Be careful out there. Just be careful. Just be aware. Like I often say, beware of surroundings all time, your masters. Never give a sure footing for a killing blow. My master Raza, I'll go to demon hands, taught me that. So, Jeremy, have anything to say before we let you go?
Well, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Well, hopefully I go to the Chicago Pro, have my fingers crossed, and take some of those Bill Dobbins type photos.
Yeah, I'm planning on going to a show. I'm just waiting to see things get together, and then and I'm planning on going. What about you, Alex?
I hope. Well, like I said, I like to be more involved, but not too much involved. You know what I mean? Just want to keep my schedule in balance this year. Never sure what I've been through last year. So.
And Kia, I think you go to some. I think you went to New York Pro a couple of times. Also, do some check out the OCB. Are you planning to go to some shows this year too?
Maybe the next month I know they're gonna have the one in Atlantic City, the Double Down and OCB. Maybe I'll check that out. If not, we'll see.
All right. Well, we got here, I think we got one more comment and then we'll be out. Shout out to our man Rolando G coming through. He says, "Hey guys, I know I'm late, just got off work. I'm going to go to some shows." Oh, gratulation, I hope you
Nice.
do. Yeah, yeah. So, folks, again, I want to say rest in peace to the late Mr. Bill Dobbins. I thank y'all for coming through and appreciate y'all supporting my content on the channel. I hope you all the best in your future in what you do. And happy New Year. Enjoy 2026. Make the best of it. That's how life is. So this is your man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I'm out. Good night. Good luck. God bless, and happy New Year.